What is going on, everyone? Good evening, good afternoon. Just wanted to go ahead and introduce you all to myself. This is Brandon Strong reporting here for another episode of WATS Shaking It Up. So we're excited today because we're getting ready to go into a talk about what to do after you graduate. The topic is I just graduated. Now what? Right? I just got handed a degree. Now what? So we're just getting ready to go over just to start a conversation about some of the things that high schoolers who are getting ready to graduate, college students who are getting ready to graduate, some of the things that they should be thinking about. Starting a conversation about is college the best fit, or is trade school the best fit, or is entrepreneurship the best fit? There's so many options, especially today. There's so many options, there's so many different opportunities that are out there. How can we make sure that we're not using a one size fits all type of method? So we're getting ready to break down, exactly how we can make the proper decision, or help those, make a proper decision as to what they should do with their life. So just want to let you know, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a, academic advisor, but I have seen some things, and I brought some friends along here with me who do know a bit about, choosing majors, changing majors, and actually exploring trades, exploring entrepreneurship. So I think we have a good balance of people here. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and introduce those people. So if you would, Alex, if you could just introduce yourself and let us know, just exactly, your name, who you are, and what you're doing right now.
All right. So my name is Alexandra Shawn. I'm Brandon Shawn's wife. I am a pediatric speech pathologist. I guess as we go along, I'll explain a little bit more about what that is. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Awesome. And then also, I have Mark Anthony here with me. Mark Anthony, could you go ahead and just give us, when you introduce yourself to people, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're all right. When you introduce yourself, you're meeting someone for the first time. What's just give them what you used to, like, hey, mom, just do that. That's what we want. That super intro.
All right. Well, my name is Mark Anthony. I'm a licensed barber, photographer, an entrepreneur. Currently reside in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I just kind of love what I do, and I do what I love. So one of my passions is helping people. I do it through business, motivational speaking, and all the different opportunities that I have. And yeah, man, I just feel like I do a lot of stuff. My job is not very detailed. I don't have a job description like Alex does. Like, I don't have like a specific set career, but some of the things I do, like I said, are some of those. But yeah, holler at me if you need me.
Cool. And Katie, Katie is our very own Mount Calvary. Katie, just, let them know who you are.
Hi, I'm Katie Holmes. I'm a senior at Strawberry Crest High School.
Awesome. That's perfect. So I just want to let the audience know, the listeners know, we're a group of young people. Okay. I just want you to know, I'm not in high school, anymore, nor am I in college. But I'm not old. All right. Recently removed from college. That's what we're calling it. All right. Alexandra, Mark Anthony, we are all recently removed from college. And then we have Katie on here as well to balance it out, because we really want to make sure that not only are we imparting some knowledge, but we don't want to ever feel, like we're behind the curve, right? We got to keep up with the times. We got to keep up with the mindset of those who may be exactly where maybe already in high school or in that a situation that we're looking to speak towards. So nonetheless, I just want to start off with, Mark Anthony, you can go first. Start off with explaining what high school was like for you that senior year, like just like maybe the jitters, or just thinking about, hey, life as a senior, and some of the thoughts that you had going into knowing that you were getting ready to graduate.
So senior year, that was 2011. I think we only had the iPhone.
Whoa, brother! You don't got to show your age if you don't want to.
4.
No. Okay, yeah, 2011. Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? We had like iPhone 3, iPhone 4, no AirPods. Brothers was still downloading on LimeWire. You know what I'm saying? Like we were at a different stage of life. So I feel like at that point, For me personally, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in college, for real. I was just trying to graduate high school. Like my biggest goal was to get out of there with a 3.0, try to get some scholarships, try to get bright futures, and try to not have my mom pay as much out of pocket for my college tuition. That was my goals, for real. As far as like picking a career and stuff like that, I went undecided once I graduated. So I mean, the goal was just secure the bag, get some money,
Okay,
get
cool.
some scholarships.
So stop there. So just sticking towards high school. So you mentioned you were thinking about 3.0, trying to graduate,
And scholarships.
with scholarships and things like that. I want to say right there, were you talking to academic advisors at your school or guidance counselors? Like, what was that like? Because you talked about scholarships and 3.0. Like, what was that like? For you.
Well, I had a guidance counselor. His name was Mr. Burgess, and he was kind of the one that was helping us through school, helping us with college applications and stuff. So he kind of was putting us on and giving us a little bit of direction and motivation how to go through the academic process. Other than him, my mom, she's academic. She went to college, so she was helping me along the way as well. I mean, so those are kind of like my two main people who was kind of giving my college direction.
Okay, good. All right, we'll come back to you, Alex. If you could just same question, what were some of your thoughts in senior year as you were kind of gearing up? What was life like, and then, what were your thoughts about moving on to the next step, which, whether college or whatever else that was?
Okay, so senior year of high school, I really had no idea what I was gonna do. Okay, that's not completely true. I knew where I was going to school. I knew I was going to Southern. I went to Adventist school my whole life, so it kind of followed on that track to Southern. So I kind of already knew where I was going, but I didn't know what I was gonna do. I knew I wanted to do like radiology. That was kind of like my first thing that I came up with, and I was really interested in. But as life continued, I switched those career ideas a couple times, and then I ended up at speech pathology. But my senior year, because I went to Adventist school, my class wasn't the biggest class. I think I had like 28 people. So we had a guidance counselor, and our guidance counselor was able to give us a lot of that one-on-one attention and kind of like really stay on us, because if you only have 28 seniors, that's kind of manageable, right? So I really did spend a lot of time talking to them. Also, we had a lot of people coming to recruit from Adventist schools. So like I went to Greater Miami Adventist Academy. So people from Oakwood, people from Southern, people from
GMA.
a lot of those people came to my school, and they kind of presented some of those opportunities. But I think the scholarship path was, I didn't explore it as much as I feel like I should have in hindsight, because we weren't presented with as many of those like public school scholarships. Or let me take a step back. Maybe not that we weren't presented with them, but our knowledge about them was very limited, because I already knew I was going to Southern. I was only like really looking for like, okay, FOSFA, kind of like pushing me in that direction. So that was kind of my senior experience.
That's amazing that you said that word correctly. Like, so many people have trouble with the word FAFSA or FOSFA because there's an F in there before the S. You said it perfectly though. I just call it financial aid because I can't be tripping up saying FAFSA or whatever. But yeah, okay. So to sum up, you already know where you were going. You were like, hey, it's already going to be Southern. But you did also have some people, guide you. Let me ask you, did you go on like a college tour or something like that? Like,
yes. We toured Southern. Usually we would tour Southern and Oakwood, but I'm not exactly sure why we didn't tour Oakwood. But we did go to Southern. I think it was called College Days. And I think that was open to both kids from private school and public school. And we all just went up there and kind of like toured and kind of talked to the financial advisors up there and brought information back so we could talk to our parents about it.
Okay, cool. Mark, I didn't ask you. Did you go on a college tour? Was that a thing? Like, did you have someone just like take you all over?
Yeah, I did go on a college tour. I ended up going to all the Florida state schools, the public colleges. So I hit FSU, UF, UCF, UNF, Florida. What's one that's in
Florida Gulf
anyways.
Coast, Gulf
For
Coast
the Gulf
University.
Coast, yep, I
Yes.
drove. We went there too. FAU, so all the Florida schools, man, we did them. So I didn't do any private schools. I just did all the public schools.
Okay, cool. All right, let's talk to Katie now. Katie, senior year. All right, this is it. You got to go out. You're going out with a bang. So we just want to know, what is it like? What are some of your thoughts? Whether you're feeling like you feel all over the place, whatever it may be. How do you feel about senior year? How it's going for you? And if you could just speak towards maybe some of the things that you've been exposed to, as far as taking the next step after graduation.
Well, so far senior year is actually pretty good. All of my classes are pretty simple because it's senior year, so
Hey.
that's good. I'm in Avid right now, which is like college prep, and my teacher teaches us a lot about financial aid and like scholarships to sign up for and stuff. So she's really helpful with that. I'm still kind of like iffy about what I want to do, I guess. So yeah, that's that. I'm in psychology and sociology right now, and that's for me. Um, I've been thinking a lot about like being a therapist recently, so those two classes have helped.
Okay, cool. All right, so senior year is going smooth. She said it's easy. So, mom, if you're listening, expect all A's. She said it's
I didn't. I
easy.
didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Okay, cool. Nah, okay, great. Now we really wish you the best, on this year. But like you said, so you said, I think it's called Avid. Is that like is that a class, or is that like an after school thing that your school offers?
It's a class.
Okay, it's a class. So this is a class you get graded on?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay, tell us a little bit more about that, because I didn't have that like growing up, and I don't mean to seem like that, like I'm a dinosaur, but I'm just saying they didn't offer it. So tell us a little bit about that class, because I think that's nice that it's not something that you have to do after school. It's like already built into your curriculum. So tell us a little bit about that class and what they're offering.
Well, it was I think freshman year. One of my friends came up to me and she was asking me to like write down words to describe her, and I was like, "Oh, what class is it for?" And she told me it was for Avid, and I was like, "Oh, it's Avid." And then she explained to me it was just like a prep class for college. So, like I said, they teach you about financial aid and different scholarships. And then my teacher, a lot of times, she has like a list of different colleges that are like free to sign up or to apply for. And she helps. Like we take a lot of notes about just different life skills that we can use. And that's what our grade is mainly on, like the notes we take. So it's like notes about financial aid, life skills, what we want to do in our future. And yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, that's
Yeah, I
amazing.
wish I had that.
Right. That's pretty much why we're having this show, is to just kind of talk about the fact that obviously Strawberry Crest, they got it going on. They know what they're doing over there. But there's so many other schools that don't even have those type of opportunities, or it's so geared to just saying, hey, you need to finish high school. Here are the classes you need to finish high school, and then you kind of leave them hanging, and it's like, oh well, you need to have some skills, or at least train your mindset to start thinking on certain things like prior to leaving. So that's great. I definitely, if I had kids, they would be going to Strawberry Crest, for sure. But so with that being said, are you looking to go on any college tours or anything like that? Like, do you have any of that in the plans for you?
Well, I just went on the college tour to Oakwood. So
Hey.
Oh, you?
Yes.
that was nice. I liked it. It was a really good experience. I liked looking at the different majors, and the worship part of it was probably my favorite.
Oh God, yes.
That was really nice. I am wanting to go on other college tours, but I'm just not like positive where yet because I don't really know where I want to go. I know I for sure want to start off at HTC, but like after that, I'm not really positive on what I want to
Okay.
do.
Okay. So are you exploring, or in that Avid class, have they, and I hope I'm saying that right, have they talked to you at all about like trade school or entrepreneurship, or has it only been geared towards college?
We talk about trade school. because at the beginning of the year, I was thinking about going to trade school because I enjoy doing hair. So I was thinking about like cosmetology. Um, and then I don't know, like that's what I still want to do that, but like I feel like that's something I want to do like on the side more. So with Avid, she was like that trade school would be good for you. So like we kind of just like skimmed over it. It wasn't just like a big like subject in class. It was just like a little, oh, that'll be a good class or a good school for you. So it's
Awesome.
like we mainly focus on like 4-year colleges and universities.
Okay. Okay. Good. 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 That's good. So you mentioned something. You said HCC. For those that don't know, that's Hillsborough Community College. And I want to kind of stop and talk on that really quickly because so you have your mindset on doing 2 years and then going to a 4-year college to finish up.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Awesome. All right. So Mark Anthony, I want to speak to you really quickly. If you could just talk about your journey from college, you almost started doing it in the beginning, but from undecided from college and then to the end of college, but if you could just give us that journey real quick as I graduated and scene.
Okay, so graduated, and after I graduated, I did my first semester in college. I was undecided, and I basically flunked out my first semester in undergrad because I was just too turned. I was too turned. I was turning up. I was partying. I was chilling with my friends. I was playing basketball. I was doing everything else but studying. Just getting into college, trying to find a rhythm. Didn't know how to study. Didn't know how to test prep, didn't know how to organize myself, didn't have a schedule, didn't have routines that was a strategy for success. I was just living my best life. So first semester didn't go hot. And then after that, I had to talk with my mom. She was really asking me to figure out what I wanted to do. Then I had to talk with the Lord, right? And then like God shows up, calling to ministry. I ended up packing my bags, go to Southern, switch my major to go be a theology major. Did the next 4 years in undergrad studying pastoral ministry. And it was just one of the best experiences of my life. Being able to get out of the state. It's a whole different experience when you go out of state for school because you get to experience something that's not culturally the same that you've had. You get to meet different types of people. You have to build different types of relationships. It stretches you, it grows you, and it prepares you to work in a diverse, multi-ethnic workplace, depending on where you go to school. Like Southern was very multicultural. It was really white, but there also was a very Caribbean side of it. And then there's a bunch of Asians. It just depends on what you want to get into. So for me, coming from like a fully Caribbean environment, going to a more predominantly white environment was beneficial because it taught me how to communicate. It taught me how to be able to work with other ethnicities. So for me, it was super beneficial. I feel like I enjoyed it, the experience.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So graduated, undecided, you were undecided while you were at community college. Was the goal to stay at community college for 2 years and then go 4-year?
Oh,
or were you just like winging it?
Man, the goal was to do my 2 years and then go to USF and then go there. And that was my goal, to go to a 4-year university. So the goal was always to go to a 4-year university at that time.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Alex, if you could just let us know what your college experience, just the first 4 years. I know you have many degrees. Praise the Lord, somebody.
Okay.
But just the first 4 years of what that was like, because I know you also didn't stick exactly with what you went in doing. So go ahead and enlighten us real quick.
So, I already knew I was going to Southern, so I packed my bags. I headed to Southern. I was decided, but not really. I was like, maybe I'll just start with general studies. My parents were kind of putting a little bit of that pressure on me, like, Alex, Southern's not cheap, so you kind of got to figure it out. But I was trying to like just feel it out, see what's going on. So my first year, I didn't have a major. Then the end of my freshman year, my dad called me. He was like, if you don't figure it out, you're just going to have to come back home. So then I kind of just like, it's a pretty crazy story, but I essentially just opened my catalog and I was like, Lord, it's between this job and this job. And I opened it up and it landed on my current career as a speech pathologist. So I stuck with that path. But that's not for everyone. That's just my story and my path.
Yeah, not recommended, but
Please,
but,
no.
but praise the Lord, it all worked out. But yeah,
Well,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's kind of how that went. After I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a speech pathologist. I was still looking for some confirmation. So something I recommend and something that I did is I found a class that was specifically for health professionals. So what they would do is every week my teacher would bring in a different health professional. So one week it would be a radiologist, a speech pathologist, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, even respiratory therapist. And they would come in and they would share a little bit about what their career was like, the things that they wanted us to know, kind of like what we're doing here, the things that they wanted us to know about those careers, so that at least as we kind of dug deeper on that path, we kind of had some guidance. And then after I took that class, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick with it. And then I got my associates at Southern. So it's kind of like a pre-speech pathology. And then I got a 4-year degree in health sciences and then moved forward.
Sorry, I was on mute. Forgive me. No, that's awesome. I want to touch on when you said that your dad called you and was like, says, you coming home. You coming home. You out there, you don't know what you're doing. You just think this is about your fun and you're coming home. So I want to talk about that because it's like you said, college is not cheap, right? So and just for those who don't know, when we say OU, we're referring to Oakwood University. It's an HBCU. And when we say Southern, we're referring to Southern Adventist University. And, just to keep you guys abreast. But nonetheless, so college has a cost, right? We all know that. Yes, financial aid is awesome. But we know that financial aid may not cover everything. That's why you got to try to get scholarships. And even with the scholarship, sometimes it doesn't cover everything. So it costs. And most times, we're not the ones paying, as the children. So I know that sometimes, we are, but most times it's our parents or our grandparents or whoever, someone else footing that bill. So, if we could just speak towards, I guess, the return on investment, ROI, right? So ROI, all that means is for those watching, what you're investing in, what is that return going to be? And will it make sense financially? Will it make sense spiritually? Will it make sense physically? Like whatever it may be, am I going to get a good return on the investment that I make in going to school or being an entrepreneur or going to trade school? So I kind of just want to stop there, and anyone can answer this. How do you feel about, or actually, Alice, when your dad called you, did you feel like it would be right of him to say, hey, you have to come home because you don't know what you want? And when you went home, what are some things you would have done to try and figure out, if you didn't do what you did, which was open the book and then kind of just close your eyes and picked one? Praise God, it worked out. But kind of speak towards that, what you would have done if that would have actually happened.
Okay, well, backtracking just a little bit, I think the first thing I want to say is please, please, please don't feel rushed to choose your career, right? Because I feel like coming out of high school, and it's all in love. Everyone's putting a lot of pressure, like, oh, well, you could do this, but really trying to figure out what you want to do, because God forbid, if you live 100 years and you're working, the retirement age now is 70. So from 18 to 70, you're working on that path. And that's a lot of years to be doing something, especially if it's not something that you are really in love with. And you've already invested your time, your money, you've got loans to pay back. So please, 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 please don't feel rushed. Take your time. To answer your question, you said, my dad called me. Yes, he called me, and then I told him, okay, I'm going to do this. And my dad, he wasn't too pushy about it, but he just wanted me to know, you can't just be up there with this tuition, not really knowing what you're doing. If I had gone home, I think I would have gone to a 2-year college. And for me, in retrospect, I think if I could have done things differently, I probably would have gone to a 2-year college, just to get those prereqs out the way, because the amount you're paying at some of these out of state 4-year colleges versus if you stayed in state, there's a pretty big difference in the amount of money that you're paying per credit hour. So I think I would have stayed and done those 2 years, because whether you do it at community college or you do it at Southern or Oakwood or anything like that, when they're looking at your transcript, basic math is basic math. Like your English 1 is English 1, right? So I think that's what I would have done. I think I would have also like enjoyed that time, and being able to stay home and save money, right? Because like the amount of money that you'd also save by like not pay, for me at least, not having to pay housing, just housing, because housing also was included in my student loans. So because unfortunately, and it's kind of real life, parents work so hard to give you everything that they possibly can, but college is a lot, and they also still have to survive. They can't just pour all their money into you pursuing your career. So in supporting you in the ways that they can, you have to kind of take your part of the weight and take out those student loans if you have to, right? So for me, I had to, and my housing was included in that. So I think I would have kind of stayed home and enjoyed a little bit of like not having to pay that on my student loans.
Awesome. So, and that's kind of what I was going towards, is that in today's, I don't know why, and it was the same for me when I was going through. People are looking down on community colleges, and not everyone, but I'm just talking about what we're told. It's like, go to that 4-year, go do that. But honestly, going to community college, getting those 2 years, being able to walk away with a degree, associates, whatever it may be, like you said, one, it costs less money, especially if it's an in-state school. It's going to cost less money. Two, there's more time for you to really think about and kind of learn about the different degrees that there are out there, and not jump into coursework just for one degree, at one time. Because most times, and like I said, for most majors that you choose, it's going to be that third year, your junior year, that you're going to actually get into your program. For instance, nursing, you don't just go to college and, hey, you're in a nursing program. No, you have to do your prerequisites. Then you have to apply and get into that specific concentration, whether it's nursing or social work, or theology or speech pathology. You have to actually get into it. And that usually doesn't happen until junior year or even sophomore year. So I think the benefits of going to a community college, even getting to stay closer to home, and of course, figure out if college is even for you. That's the biggest thing. Like, is this even, am I someone who is supposed to be in a class learning traditionally, what we quote unquote call traditionally? Also, I saw here in the chat, someone said going to a 2-year college helped them pull up their GPA. When I guess maybe they went back from being at a 4-year college, maybe weren't doing so well, went back, and then helped them pull up their GPA. Because honestly, being away from home, being homesick, not knowing people, sometimes that can definitely affect your coursework, as a student. So being home, being able to see your mother, your father, being able to see your friends, sometimes that can give you a better chance at hitting those grades that you want, and things like that. But once again, so as far as Katie, a question for you. Have you taken like any type of personality test in that AVID course or anything like that?
No, but I did take one in one of my other classes.
Okay, awesome. And what did it? Do you remember what the results were?
No.
Okay, was it the personality test with a whole bunch of letters? I don't know what the name of it is, but it's like your results could be, I'm like a ENJ.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
that's what it was.
Okay. Awesome. All right. No, I just wanted, because I was doing some research, and they are saying that doing a personality test prior to going to college, it is helping people understand exactly who they are, and what they should pursue, which I think is key. The first thing before even thinking about what college you're going to is just trying your best, which we all know at the high school age is hard. We're just coming into who we even are, but at least starting to think about, hey, who am I? You know what I'm saying? What am I about? What do I like to do? But before we move on to that, also, what's some advice, Katie, as we're talking about, Alex mentioned her dad telling her to maybe having her come home, or even some parents that are saying, hey, you got to go to a 4-year degree. I know you're in that AVID course, but what are some advice that your parents or even others have given to you? And I'm not doing this to put them on blast, but I just want to know, what are some things that people are telling you right now, because you're a senior and I know everyone has an opinion.
Yeah. Well, mainly like since I've been like growing up, like when I was younger, people have been telling me like what I should do and like what I should be. And I feel like now this year has been like the main year. People are like, do what you want to do, because like it's your future and it's going to be what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. So that's like the biggest thing. People just telling me do what I want to do. And obviously going to
That's
HBC
great.
for 2 years and transferring to a university. That's something else big that people have been telling me.
Awesome. So in saying do what you want to do, I think the biggest reason, if we're going back to return on investment, we do have people who are graduating with alarming student loans right now, ridiculous amount of student loans. But then the major that they studied, and then the career that's geared towards, doesn't even begin to, as far as the compensation, it just doesn't even compare to the amount of student loans that you have to be able to pay those student loans back. Also, another fun fact, about 60% of people who are graduating from college, they don't end up working in the field that they went to school for, right? So that's not to deter anyone. That's just to let you know that there's other things out there that you may like that you don't even know yet. However, if you could do your best to narrow down now, and nothing is perfect, is ever going to be perfect. But what we want to do is make a purpose-driven risk, right? If that makes sense. Everything is risky, right? You walk outside today, you could misstep on the curb and you could hurt yourself. You can't stay at home. You can't not take chances because you're afraid. But what we can do, because we know that everything is risky, we can try our best to make a purpose-driven risk towards what we want to do. So Mark Anthony, if you could kind of just speak towards, because you took traditional college, and now you're in the field of entrepreneurship, but you also have a skill, being that you went to trade school. Can you talk a little bit about, well, actually, hold on, before we move on, Alex, I saw you raising your hand. Were you going to say something?
Yes. Just really quick. All I was going to say is that, I know there's a personality test, but is that the test? I guess you can clarify for me. Is that the test that it also gives you careers that would match your personality? The Myers-Briggs personality test. Do you know?
I think she's saying, I don't know. Someone in the chat says it's called the Myers-Briggs personality test.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't take that test until I got to college, and it would be really, really good, like you said, to do that before. So I wasn't sure if it was the same test as like the personality and career test, if they were the same thing. But right. If they aren't, I think taking a career-based test and like comparing that would be good too.
Right. Okay. Cool. Appreciate that, wifey. All right, Mark Anthony. Like I said, I think we have you on here because I think you're the perfect person to talk about the transition from graduated and career person, but okay, now I'm going to explore a trade. So you made a switch after you already had the degree. So if you could just talk about what that decision was like, and then we'll go into some other questions. But go ahead and break that down for us.
So for me, I always tell people that I never chose hair chose me.
Oh, that's a bar.
It wasn't something that I wanted to do. I had a whole career, like I said, pastoring. Unfortunately, I took a season away because life happened, and I had my first kid. I had 9 months to prepare to be a parent, and I was like, what is going on? Like, what am I going to do? So I had 2 things in my possessions. 1, I had a pair of clippers in my case, and 2, I had God. And those 2 things were pretty much all I needed to be successful for the most part. I think what you need is you need to have a desire, and you need to be self-motivated, and you need to have a strong why. That's crucial. And for me, my why was my daughter, and wanting to provide for her, and saying that I wanted to be able to, by the time she was born, be able to say that her dad is not a bum. he has a career, he got something going on for him, and that he can provide something long-standing for her. So for me, my back was against the wall. Like, I was in a do or die situation where I had to either succeed or I was going to fail. So for me, I feel like everybody can't perform well under pressure. I perform the best under pressure. That's when I give my best work. So it was just a combination of like right timing. Also, something, I don't know if you guys have heard it called staging, right? So like staging is when you look back at the past of your life and you see how there are key moments in your life that led to character development, skill development, personality development to get you prepared to where you are today. So when I talk about staging, all through college, I cut hair. You know what I mean? I cut hair through undergrad. I cut hair when I went overseas to Kenya for a year. I cut hair post grad when I was a graduate study afterwards. And then the staging, when I look back, it was always present in every stage of my life. You know, so it wasn't a new thing that I did. It actually was an old skill that I've been developing over time that I just never zeroed in and locked in on. But when the time came to lock in, I'll just, you know, put my blinders on and I just locked in, and that helped the transition role for me.
Okay, hold on. You speaking good right now, brother. I want you to know that. So I just want to pause because you graduated, so you finished, got a job, and going back, I kind of want to speak towards in college or in trade school or whatever you're doing. It is important to have a skill, right? Because going to college or going the traditional way, yes, you're building up to get a job. That's what we're all there for, is to have a career. But sometimes you can get that degree and have no skill. Like, let's say if you get a certain degree, let's say if you're studying chemistry or biology, right? Or even health sciences, maybe if I can speak towards that. Health sciences is kind of general. It doesn't exactly, it's not the same as going to school for nursing and saying, hey, when you go to school for nursing, you're clearly going to become a nurse. It depends. It doesn't matter what type of nurse you'll be. You could be working in PCU, progressive care, intensive care, emergency, but you're going to be a nurse. You know, you could be home care, home health. You're going to be a nurse. You have a skill, right? That you went to school for, versus if you go to school for biology, it doesn't exactly, it's not as clear to say, okay, I'm going to school for biology and I'm going to get this specific job when I leave. You know, there's so many other people who have, you know, studied biology, and a lot of those people tend to go on to medical school or do something else or have to get a secondary degree after that. I'm not saying studying biology is bad, but what I'm trying to say is I think it is important to have a skill or learn some type of hobby that can get you paid while you're in college. And I think that's what Mark Anthony was speaking about. So I want to ask you, Katie, I know you mentioned hair. I don't have a lot. I don't have not a lot of work with, but are you doing other people's hair right now? Like what is something that you're doing right now that could possibly, you know, pay out, get you paid in the future?
Well, I worked at a junior camp during summer, and me and a couple other girls were known for like doing the kids' hair. And then I do my mom's hair, and I do my hair, and I've done a couple of people's hair like outside of the family as well, and I've gotten paid for it.
Okay.
So
let me hold something. Let me hold a little something. Okay. Cool. So you've done, so that's something. Is there anything else besides that, or is that pretty much what you like to do and don't mind doing, but also have the, like, you know, have the opportunity to, the possibility to be paid?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
No, I was saying, is that the only thing right now? You know, here, are there any other hobbies or anything that you're doing right now that can possibly get you paid, you know, in the future if you wanted to?
Honestly, no. I think hair is like the main thing.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just think that, okay, we have someone in the chat, Katie, that said, Katie did my hair, my current hairstylist. Oh, hold on, listen, this is a shameless plug. If you need your hair done in the Tampa area, you got to hit up Katie, all right? But and like going back to Mark's point where he was talking about staging and looking at what he had done throughout college, and I was there for it. I was watching him give brothers cuts and learn the craft even before he was in trade school. But I think that's something to be said, is that having a hobby, having some type of skill. You don't even have to go to trade school for it. There are people who are barbers without licenses. There are people who have different businesses that haven't went to trade school. But even in the pandemic right now, young people, I'm trying to tell you that people who have doctorate degrees and master's degrees could not find work. But those that had a skill, if you can do nails, let me tell you something. Even through the pandemic, people needed to get their nails done. Even through the pandemic, people's hair are growing. You know what I'm saying? Even through the pandemic, there's some people need to eat. If you can cook, you know what I'm saying? It seems simple, but if you can cook, that's still a skill that you can use to provide for your family. And it's usually something that you do like that and not getting paid for. It's usually something you like to do, something that makes you smile, something that you're passionate about. But Mark, if you could just continue, I'm sorry I had to do that little quick commercial break just to encourage those. Even if you're in college and you're studying to be a social worker, or you're studying to be a filmmaker, there still has to be, there's no reason why you should be studying film and not attempting to take people's photographs, attempting to do videography for people, whether it's for free or whether it's just about honing those skills and not waiting until you graduate to figure out how you can make money from that particular thing. But go ahead, Mark, if you could just finish your thought about staging.
Yeah, man. One of the things that helped, I'll add on to that last piece you were saying. I think it's like you said, it's never too early to monetize. It's never too early to monetize. I don't think there's middle school, elementary school. We have a client that comes to our barbershop. He's a 5-year-old child, and he has a dog treat business that he takes what does he use? Organic foods, and then he makes dog treats at like 5 years old, and he has a whole business as a 5-year-old. So like, it's never too early to monetize your skills.
That's amazing.
And then I think another thing that we're talking about when you're saying about the college experience and people not being able to find jobs and then switching, I think you need to consider the flip. I think you really need to sit down and consider, time versus value. Like, we exchange in this lifetime our time for cash. That's what we do. That's what working is you work for X amount of hours times X amount of dollars equals payout biweekly, weekly, daily, however you get paid, right? So the reality is you want to be sure that what your career is going to do will adequately pay for your life, but also the time that you're spending is going to be able to allow you to get a job that's worth the value of the time that you spent in school. So perfect example, I had to weigh 4 years of a bachelor's degree for a potential job with a conference that may not show up, I don't know, versus that would potentially pay me, let's see, what's the average pastor making, like 35, 45K, you know what I'm saying? Maybe 50 if you would, say good conference, or 9 to 10 months in a trade school that have the potential to make closer to 60, 70, 80, or $100,000, depending on how hard I grind. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Or maybe limitless,
or limitless. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying 4 years and a fixed income versus 10 months, and I control my time and I control my finances. You know what I mean? So for me, you know what I'm saying? I considered the flip, when I looked into going to trade school and said, like you said, the ROI, that return on that investment was priceless for me. You know what I mean? It gave me the opportunity to be able to truly have full autonomy of every area of my life, where I don't have to punch a clock. I don't have to clock into anyone's job. I work when I want to. I work as hard as I want to. The negative side of that is that if you're not self-motivated, and if you don't have drive, and if you don't invest in your craft and practice, and if you're not personable, if you don't have good networking skills, good relationship building skills, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle. So I think the collegiate route helped me build confidence, helped me to speak well. It helped me to articulate myself very well, to be able to talk to people and to build relationships. But at the same time, I feel like you also have to have, like I said, a dream, a why. So for me, you talked about, Katie, you saying that you do hair, you have other passions that you do. I always say it's passion over profit. You know what I'm saying? It's passion over profit every day, because it makes no sense. And Alex hit it too. Like she said, about the timeline of the work to retirement cycle. So most people, like I say, we in school from about let's say about 6 to about 18 and then 25, right? And then from about 25 to about 65 is like quote unquote retirement age. 65 is work. And then from 65, let's say you honored your parents, you get a good 75, 80 years on the back end of things, right? So you have 25 years, 40 years, and then maybe like a 10 to 15 year retirement window. When I saw that, I was 25 when I was making the transition, and I said, do I want to spend the next 40 years of my life, the biggest chunk, working a job that I dislike? And when I had to ask myself that question, I had to count the cost. What was it going to cost for me to make a transition? But the benefit is I get the next 39 years of my life to myself. You know what I mean? To build what I want so I could establish something for myself.
Wow. So just to kind of break that down for everyone, when we were talking about ROI, your return on investment, some colleges are costing astronomical numbers, like, $20K a year. To be honest with you, I went to a public school. My first year, I went to University of Bridgeport, UB in Connecticut, Bridgeport in Connecticut, and the school, the school cost $40,000 a year. Praise the Lord that I had a scholarship. I had financial aid, but I also had academic scholarship, and so all I had to pay was $5,000 every semester, which honestly, that's not, out of $40,000, that's not bad. Praise God that I was able to get that scholarship. But even that was a stretch and was tough for my family in the financial situation that we were in. So I say that to say, even going to Southern or like an Adventist school, when people complaining about the price, I'm like, man, these public schools are way, more expensive. But nonetheless, you have a school that's costing, let's say, an average of $25,000 a year. That's 4 years. That's $100,000 if my math is right. You invest that, maybe not invest. Sorry, you have to pay for that. And what's your return on investment going to be? You know what I'm saying? Based off of the student loans that you may have coming out. Not only your time, 4 years, versus maybe paying for trade school that may be a year, or that may be a year and maybe $10,000, for the whole program, or $12,000 for the whole program. Not only that, taking a gap year, right? I just kind of want to bring that in, because it's okay to not know, and it's okay to be still, right? I don't know the exact verse in the Bible, so I'm not gonna mess it up. But be still and listen, right? And listen to what God is telling you, and maybe that gap year can really give you the knowledge that you need to know exactly what you want to do. So one of the things you mentioned, Mark, was networking, and also someone in the chat mentioned shadowing, right? If you take a gap year, even if you're not taking a gap year, even while you're in college, that freshman year or even their senior year of high school, you genuinely should be networking with people, shadowing with people, just to figure out if you like what they even do. So to kind of bring Katie back in here, Katie, have you, based off of, I know you said psychology, sociology, have you seen anyone doing some of the things that you may want to study, whether it's like a sociologist or a psychologist, or even someone who does hair, and, have you been able to shadow anyone or anything like that?
Well, my auntie used to do my hair when I was younger. So that's like one of the biggest things. And then over quarantine, I started doing my own hair. And then I was like, okay, I really like this. Like, this is something I think I want to do. And then my dad, he majored in social work, and so did my aunt and a few other people that I know. So that was like another thing that I thought about. And that's basically it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. And I say that because that is really one of the biggest things that is missing, I believe, in our community, is just being able to see people that look like you doing things that you didn't know about or didn't know was possible. And so, I'm a social worker. I'm not a social worker now, but I study social work, and I was a social worker for about 2 years before changing careers. But I do want to ask Alex if you could chime in and just talk about how important it is to seek out different programs or seek out some networking or type of mentorship, because I know for you being a speech pathologist, I got to be honest, babe, before I met you, I did not know what a speech pathologist was. I didn't know. Like I just it was the first time I heard of it. And I was already in college at that point. I'm 21 years old. So can you just speak towards what you do as a speech pathologist? Just give us a little bit, just so we understand what that is, and then just break down, what it's like to speak to someone who's doing what you're doing and how important that is. Because I know that, like I said, if I didn't meet you, I would not have even known what what that was.
Absolutely. So, just before I even start diving into like what I do, I want to just take a second to acknowledge like, hey, we don't have to look very far. I think sometimes we almost set it up in our mind like, okay, well, I want a shadow. I need to go out. I have to call all these places and stuff like that. But even in your church, right? At Mount Calvary, there are at least 2 speech pathologists, myself and Olivia, and then there's also an occupational therapist, Jeanette. That's already 2 different professions that are already off the top of my head that you can probably find opportunities to shadow with. So don't be so afraid to ask your parents like, hey, well, I'm looking at maybe being a psychologist, right, Katie? Do you know if there's anyone at church who's a psychologist who can kind of give me an idea, or even within like what they can let you shadow? Because sometimes some career paths, just for like privacy purposes and stuff like that, you may not be able to always jump in to what we're doing, but even being able to touch base with them and kind of get ideas about what that looks like, or even if they can like point you towards like, hey, well, I follow this speech pathologist on YouTube or on Instagram, and she records some of her sessions, so you can kind of look at that and see if that's something that you like, right? So don't think that it's so far-fetched that you have to go really, really seek people out. Sometimes in your home base, there's a lot of different opportunities there. So as a pediatric speech pathologist, oh man, this is such a loaded question. I I treat at least 5 to 8 different areas. So sometimes I work with kids who have issues with fluency or dysfluency. Rather, I work with people who stutter. And pediatrics in my field is from 0, so birth, to 18. I work with people who stutter. I work with people who have language disorders, so they may have a hard time with a lot of comprehension, or even sometimes expressive language. Not that they don't understand, but maybe sometime expressing themselves, right? I also work with kids who have a hard time saying different sounds. So like, for example, the R sound is a really, really hard one. And sometimes it'll come out as W. So I work on helping them learn how to make it correctly, right? And that's just like really simplifying what I do. But I think overall, it's a great field. And that's kind of what I do overall, I guess. Sometimes I also work with like voice patients. So like sometimes, I don't know how knowledgeable you guys are on like voice, but sometimes you have nodules, people who are singers, people who are motivational speakers. They may have like vocal damage. I can also work with them if I was working with adults or even with kids, and learning healthy strategies so that they're having good vocal hygiene. So that's kind of where, I guess, within my scope. I'm sorry, I forgot, what was the rest of the question?
No, that was good. I actually wanted to see.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, that was just fine. So just to close out on networking, if you are someone who feels is a little timid and you're like, oh, I'm not someone who knows how to spark conversation, or anything like that, when trying to seek out a mentor, trying to network with people who you may not know, or even you do know, but sometimes you're just kind of, you don't know what you're going to say. 2 questions. Hey, what do you do? Right? What do you do? How did you do it? 2 simple questions, right? You may want to start off with, hello, my name is, right? You don't want to be rude. And then ask them where you're from. That always works well. So, hey, how are you doing? What's your name? Where are you from? But those 2 simple questions can go a long way. What do you do for a living, right? Then you can ask them, how is it that they got to where they were right now? And if that question doesn't work, another question you can use is, what is your ultimate goal? Where are you trying to get to? Because we're all not, at the pinnacle of where we'd like to be. So that's just a couple of nuggets there. But I want to move on. I don't want to keep you all too long, but I want to talk about parent pressure and peer pressure, right? We all know it. We have our parents who grew up in a time where a degree was the only thing that really meant of status, or that meant you know, especially because in maybe our parents' time, they weren't afforded the opportunity to go to college and finish, or you know, something like that. So now they are pushing their agenda, you know, on you, right? Or their fears, because it could be they fear of you doing something else, you know, that may not pan out to be what they want for your life. So I know that we may have a lot of parents listening in, and hopefully also younger people listening in with their parents. Can you all speak towards maybe Mark Anthony, what your mother or father wanted for you, and going against the grain and figuring out, okay, hey, I know that you see this for myself, but ultimately this is going to be my life, you know, and I want to make sure that I'm not succumbing to that pressure. I'm taking heed to what they're saying, but I'm also doing the research for myself. So if you can kind of speak towards that.
It's tough. It's really tough. I'm not even gonna lie about it. I think parents, and being a parent, you know, having a small child now, I can understand more the desire for a parent to want the best for their kids. You know, that's really all it is. You don't want your kid to ever struggle financially. You don't want them to struggle emotionally, and you want to prevent them from possibly going down some of the hardships that you had in your personal life. So I think that's the side of the parent pull on it. But I think as far as being the child in the circumstance, or the young adult, I think you have to overcome the fear. You have to overcome the fear. It's a mental block that a lot of people have, whereas everybody struggles with an identity crisis at some point in their life. You know, it's the concept of who I am currently versus who other people think I should be. You know, and it's an internal struggle, and you got to overcome to a point to say, I'm confident and I know who I am and what I am and what I should be doing, that may look a little different from what you have thought I should be doing, but it's okay because it's my life. And honestly, it's a hard conversation to have with your parents, but I had mine about 25, 26, you know, when I really, like, for the first time, took total expectations off of wanting anyone else's validation or approval of the things that I do or how I do. Because at the end of the day, there's a difference between vision and sight, right? So sight is what people can see with their eyes open. You know what I'm saying? You're failing classes. You know what I'm saying? You're not succeeding academically. You need to come home. You're wasting my money. Like, that's what they see. You know what I'm saying? But the vision that we see is with your eyes closed. You know what I'm saying? That's like the dreams that you see for your life. So for me, the things that my family and friends may have saw was kind of like a shaky period of my life where things weren't necessarily panning out fully. I was trying lots of things and they wouldn't really know, like, was it going to pan out? But the vision that I saw was a success on the other side if I got through it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what kind of kept me going all the way through. And I think one of the things that helps a parent to believe in their child and anybody is like tangible success. It's tangible success. Like, until you tangibly attain something, people only see your efforts, but they don't see the results of your actions. You know what I mean? So when I was like cutting hair at my crib and doing house calls and going from campus to campus and running around with a backpack, it didn't really look like I knew what I was doing then. But I saw like opening up a barbershop downtown. I saw like cutting athletes. I saw like traveling every other weekend, but nobody could see that because it didn't make sense, you know? So you have to, but then when they see the fruits of the process that you've been going through, that's sometimes the only way to convince people who really don't believe in the vision that you have. You got to actually like show them tangible fruits of success of the thing that you're talking about. And if they don't, you know, like J. Cole said it, man, like some people will be with you and some people won't. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you do well, they're going to talk about you. If you fail, they're going to talk about you. So you might as well give them something positive to talk about at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
No, brother, you're talking good, brother. I just want you to know that. So, and I don't want this to be a thing of kids thinking that, they don't have to listen to their parents. But as a parent, I do believe you have a job to observe your your kids, and look at some of the characteristics that they have, some of their personality, some of the things that they're good at. Because as kids, we still need guidance. We don't know, at high school age, at a college age, we don't know who we are yet. We're still coming into our own, but it would be great to have someone who is giving us words of encouragement and showing us some things that they see in us. Like, young man, you love to talk, you love to interact with people. You should maybe go into broadcasting, right? You should maybe go into communications, right? Young man, you love dealing with hair, you love fashion. Maybe you should try and study that and push them towards, or you're caring. You're someone who I could see taking care of me, the way you take care of me when I'm sick, and excuse me, and push them towards nursing. So I do believe you have a job to make sure that you're being intentional about looking for those things that your kid is already good at, right? So and even also as a youth, you yourself should, sometimes some of the careers that you should go into are things or traits that you have, or things that you're already doing. You're already good at that certain thing. Now you just have to figure out how to translate that into a career. You understand? Like, there are people who are millionaires, right, from YouTube. I asked a kid the other day, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said a YouTuber. And I was like, you do that, right? Because in today's age, right, times are always changing. There's nothing new under the sun, but times are always changing and evolving. So there wasn't computer maybe, centuries ago, right? Maybe when our parents were growing up, the computer was just coming out, right? Social media wasn't even a thing. Now you can get paid to be on social media, whether you have a brand built for yourself, whether you have a podcast, whether you're doing a YouTube channel. Those are a means for people to provide for their family that wasn't there when your parents were coming up. So they may not even understand that concept just as yet. But I just want to empower you to look within yourself and figure out what you're already doing, what you're already good at, and how, as Mark Anthony said, you can monetize that. Now, I kind of want to just switch gears a little bit because we're short on time. Katie, I want to ask a question, and we'll get to you, Alex, next after Katie. Katie, what is the type of lifestyle that you see for yourself, right? And that I think is a key question when trying to figure out if you want to go to college, if you want to go to trade school, but really what career you want, because money is needed, right? I don't care what people say. They say money's not everything. That's cool. If it's not everything, let me get some of what you got. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that, yes, money is necessary for us to live, but also what's key is the lifestyle. Because depending on the lifestyle you want, it depends on how much money you need to keep and attain, right? Attain and then keep and maintain, excuse me. So, and you can be totally open, Katie, like you may not know, but, things such as, do you want a house? Do you want to spend time with, if you have kids, do you want to be able to spend time with your kids? Do you want to make a certain amount of money? Kind of speak to us about what lifestyle you see for yourself.
Well, yes, I do want a house. I mean,
okay. That mansion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be nice. And I do want kids. I've always wanted 3 kids. So, yeah. Honestly, lifestyle. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. When I was younger, like, I really wanted to be a teacher. Like, that was something that I really, really, really wanted to do. Because my mom was a teacher. Well, my mom is a teacher. And I was just like, oh, that looks so fun. Like, kids. I like working with kids too. So I was like, oh my gosh, a teacher. That's cool. And then, like, within this year and, like, a little bit of last year, it was just like, I don't know if I really want to do that. That doesn't seem like something that's for me anymore. Because, like, I see a lot of teachers struggling now, and they're really underappreciated. They really are. So that's like, I don't know.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So you said house. You said what type of car you want to drive? What type of car you want to drive?
I don't know.
You don't know, you know. But Lexus, a BMW, a Toyota, Honda. I mean, what you thinking?
Tesla.
Tesla. Okay, listen, come on now, listen, it's possible. It's possible, right? Tesla. Okay, so you want a house, you want 3 kids, you want a Tesla, and I'm here to tell you that all of those things are expensive, right? I'm here to tell you that all of those things require money, right? And so I'm glad that you said teachers are underappreciated, which they are, and my mother has been a teacher for umpteen years. I don't even know. That's all I know her as, is being a teacher, and I've seen her give her last her last to these kids. All her efforts has been going, especially to the schools that don't have a ton of income. I forget the term for it. So she's always worked for some of the schools that had lesser and had to come out of her pocket for things. But nonetheless, she truly enjoys what she does, right? Mm-hmm. But something to think about is, how do you want to live your life? I feel like as young people, if we're thinking about, okay, I may be young now, but I know that I want a house, not a little small house, because if I have 3 kids, I can't live in a 2-bedroom house, right? Listen, I'm not saying you can't live in. I grew up in an apartment until we were able to get a home, praise God. But what I'm saying is that what you see for yourself? Can't be no little house, right? And then you want a Tesla, which that's my dream car. So I'm right there with you. But it's not, it's a car that can be expensive. But I do believe that God will allow us to get the desires of our hearts, but we do have to strategize. So if we just think we can have anything, but we don't have a strategy to attain those things, then God is looking at us like, hold on here. Right?
Preacher
man. So I just say that to say that it is very important as a high schooler, as a college student, while you're studying to live your career, what type of a lifestyle do you want, right? I'll speak towards myself as a social worker, right? I went to school for social work. I graduated as a social worker. And my first job out of college, actually my second job, but I was only at my first job for like 6 months. And then I had moved. But my second job was in social work, and I was a case manager. And I was genuinely enjoying what I was doing, right? And so, but I realized that the life that I wanted for myself financially, right? Having a wife, then having kids, being able to provide for those kids. I realized that I was working at a group home where I was managing the whole group home, which is a group home for boys, middle school, high schoolers. One of the things about where I was, if you stayed in the group home, these were kids who had to be taken away from their homes due to their parents, either not providing a home that was livable for them, or not being in a great situation. But also those who may have gotten in trouble with the law, but instead of going to jail, they were able to go to a group home and work their steps to getting back out into society and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to. But the point that I'm making is that the moment that changed it all for me is when I found out that the kids at the group home, this is in the state of Tennessee, in the city, Chattanooga, where I was working at the time, any kid who came into custody, whether it was through Child Protective Services or DCF, some people call it, Department of Child and Family, or a group home, right? Because they have to go into that before going into the group home. But if you even stay one night in Child Protective Services or DCF or group home, you are eligible for free community college, for 2 years of free community college or free trade. And there's also a ton of other benefits that they had. Mind you, I think it's well deserved. I don't think that, I love that program that they had. But I thought about it, I said, here I am. I'm a case manager, passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm a single person at this time, and I am barely making ends meet, right? I'm being frugal. I'm not out here spending my money crazy, but I'm just really not making, the money that I saw for myself. Now, thinking forward, I'm like, okay, wait, what if I have kids and I want to put those kids through college, but the kids that I'm servicing will have free college, and I'm coming to work every day, and I may not be able to put my own kids through school, right? Or provide for my own. So that's when it kind of clicked to me. Not that I should forget social work. You know, I'm not saying that social work doesn't pay, because it definitely pays, but you have to have a plan. I went into social work not knowing that if you really want to get paid in social work, you should have a master's degree. You should become licensed and maybe become a clinical social worker. Those are some things that I wasn't even thinking about, or I didn't even know. So here I am, I have a bachelor's degree, and that step is it's actually a stepping stone. The bachelor's degree is a stepping stone to, you know, where you really want to get to, which requires more money to get the master's or to become a clinical social worker. So those are some of the things that I didn't think about. So if I would have known the lifestyle that I wanted for myself and said, you know what, this may not pay, right? This may not pay what I wanted to. Doesn't mean that I can't do what I like to do, what I'm passionate about, but it does mean that I have a responsibility to be honest with myself to say, maybe I can do something that pays better, because if you're not living the lifestyle that you want to live, you will be a very miserable person, no matter what you're doing. So I wanted to just kind of touch on passion versus purpose, and stay with this. We're almost done here. Passion versus purpose, right? So, babe, if you want to touch on that really quickly, and there's no right or wrong answer. Is there a difference between passion and purpose? And if there is, like, what's the difference for you?
Okay. So passion versus purpose. So I believe that for a lot of people, if they're fortunate enough, those two things align. Like Mark Anthony, his passion and his purpose align, and that's a very beautiful thing. But for other people, it doesn't always align, right? So you can be passionate, you can absolutely love what you're doing, but as you grow into yourself, you realize that that might not be your purpose, or your passion and your purpose may be aligned for a season, and then your purpose, as you get to know yourself better, or even your passion as you get to know yourself, that might change. So yeah, I do agree that they do go together, but I think there are some instances when they're opposite to each other. So for me, I am passionate about what I do. I think being a speech pathologist is an amazing field. You get to change lives every day. And even on those really, really hard days when I come and I just like face plant into my pillow because it was just a crazy day, I do know that that I was working within my passion and within my purpose. But as I'm getting older and I'm seeing that the lifestyle that I want may not be aligning with the salary that I'm getting, I may have to make some changes, and my passion may have to switch so that I can kind of give myself a different lifestyle, right? So I do think that for some people they do align, and they may align for a season. But for me, I feel like as I've gotten older, they've kind of been like against each other and then also flowing with each other, if that answers your question.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. Something that I've been researching this. That's why I asked that. What I've found and what I've come to is that passion is about emotions. What makes you feel good, right? The motivation behind what makes you feel good is just that passion. But I believe purpose is much more focused, right? Because I'll give an example. Like, I can be passionate about, let's say, I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Purpose is a non-negotiable, right? Purpose is what you're talking to God about. What do I have to accomplish before I leave this earth, right? What do you need from me? Because we are all children of God, and we all know that He created us with purpose. So passion is going to make us feel good. You know, it's going to be great. It'll give us those butterflies, but purpose is non-negotiable, right? Because God is in the midst of that, right? So even though I may be passionate about something that it could even be a hobby, right? Let's say games, right? I'm passionate about gaming and I love playing video games, but that's kind of like, it's an emotion that you get from playing a video game, and it can be temporary. You can be happy for 2 hours playing video games, but then once you get off that video game, it's kind of like, okay, like I lost that emotion. But if you want to translate that into purpose and say, you know what, how can I create a video game? Or how, if I love playing a game on my phone, an application on my phone, how can I create an app? And how does my purpose align with that? It could be that you feel as if there's not enough information about how to become a gamer or how to make a game, right? So what you can do is go ahead and create an app or create a game that helps teaches people about what it's like to be in the gaming industry, about what it's like to build an application or build a game, right? Or build a video game, right? And that to me is more, if you feel that is your purpose, that would be a great way to kind of go from passion, right, to purpose, right? So some people think it's one, some people think I think it can be two different things. But I do know that purpose, everyone in this life has a purpose and it's non-negotiable. So figuring out how we can take our passions and translate those into purpose, I think is something that is huge. And we have to continue to think about, because Mark Anthony may be passionate about cutting hair, but I can tell you this from being in his barber chair, that it's really more about speaking to people, getting to know people, meeting them where they're at. As a barber, you don't know where as a barber, you may meet this person one time ever. They may never sit down in your chair again. So you have to receive that person where they're at in life, whether they are on drugs, whether they're dealing with addiction, whether they're dealing with whatever, depression, whatever they may be dealing with. Even if they don't look the way you look, you're dealing with that person to cut their hair. Yes. But I can tell you that his purpose is surrounded around connecting with those that are in his barber chair, right? And that's non-negotiable. That's non-negotiable. So just wanted to kind of, like I said, Alex, Katie, there's no right answer, but it's really just about starting that conversation between, purpose and passion. So we're going to be closing up here in a little bit, but I did want to kind of give some. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on what you were saying just now, just add a little bit more to what you're saying. And Alex, you said a great thing. Everybody isn't blessed to be able to merge their passion and their purpose together. This is true. And I think, Brandon, you also give a good definition of passion versus purpose. I think passion, I put down, is something that your heart bleeds for. I think that kind of is what you were talking about with the emotional pull towards an idea, a mission, something that your heart bleeds for. And I think you also said the second part with purpose is what God created you to do. It is your purpose. You are created here for a God-given purpose, and every single person has that. I think we can go either way, but I think we most of the time choose security over walking by faith. Truly and honestly, I think we could choose purpose, but purpose may not pay. So if I walk in my God-given purpose, I might be broke. You know what I'm saying? But you're free because you're doing God's will. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and he does say that he will provide all of our needs. So then it's like, is the life that I want for myself the life that God wants for me? You know what I'm saying? Like, is the Tesla
That's a
what
point.
God wants for me? You know what I'm saying? Is the 1,800 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom house what God wants for me? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to ask myself those tough questions. You know what I mean? In starting this journey, because a lot of us are afraid to trust God because God never calls us to comfort. You know what I mean? He never calls. Your purpose is never going to be a comfortable place. It's never going to be a place that's easy. But if you're blessed to be able to make a decision, the best way would be to find a way to merge the two. But I just feel like that's really the real, at least from my perspective, the real is like, you gotta not be comfortable, man, and you gotta be willing to walk by faith, because what God has for you will be there. And the Bible does say God will give you the desires of your hearts. There are biblical principles that tell us things like, whatever you sow, you will reap. You know what I mean? Like if you're a faithful steward of the gift God gave you, he will multiply your talents. Like we have guaranteed scriptures that say like he's gonna give you that ROI. You know what I'm saying? If you follow the way he wants you to go. But I think it's just a faith thing for real. And I think that was the part that I had to get over. Was like, I never got into it to like go viral, you know what I'm saying? Or like to do a lot. Like I got into it, like you said, to provide value, you know? And I think when you're chasing value as a part of your purpose, it'll always produce a good product, you know what I'm saying? And your product will provide the paper, you know what I'm saying? So like when you do that, like I think you're always going to end up on the right side, but you have to sometimes be selfless and humble yourself to be like, okay, God, like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I thought I was going to be a social worker. You know, maybe I thought I was going to be a general studies. You know, maybe I am just graduating high school and I don't know. But what is your plan? You know what I mean? And take that time to figure out what is God's plan. And God's plan is not something that you got to validate. You got to talk to nobody about. You got to get your parents' permission on. Like, it's God's plan for your life. If you have a real relationship with him, rock out with him and trust him. Like, he's got you. Like, it doesn't make sense right now. And it's crazy, man. I know I'm getting on a little bit of a tangent, but I was having dinner the other night with my people, and I'm sitting at the dinner table, and I was talking to a kid, and I was telling him about like growing up with a single parent, a single mom, and like the struggles of that. And basically, it hit me all at once. Like, the reason why I was able to communicate to this guy was because of all the stuff that I went through in my life prior to that, that prepared me to be able to be in a position to mentor a young man. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times when we're following God's purpose for us, it doesn't make sense now. Like, it doesn't make sense to go to Southern. It doesn't make sense to go do social work. It doesn't make sense to do speech pathology. It doesn't make sense to go out of state to school. But when you get to the other side of it, you know what I'm saying? On that side, if you trusted the whole way, like all things work together. You know what I'm saying? And when you look back at the way that it happened, you can confidently say, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I wouldn't have wanted to go and be super rich and then be humble. Like, I would have rather like grinded my way all the way through, you know what I'm saying? Because it's skill will get you there, but your character is what keeps you there. You know what I'm saying? Like who you're developing and becoming in the process is more important than the skill and what you develop in the process. You know what I'm saying? He wants your heart, like he wants your character, you know? So I feel like if we're talking about passion and purpose, I choose purpose, you know what I'm saying? Because purpose will always keep you in line with where God wants you to be. And God's word is infallible. Like he said, he's going to take care of you regardless. But it takes, like I said, getting out of your comfort zone and being able to walk by faith and to trust God, because he's not calling us to comfort, you know what I'm saying, in any way, shape, or form.
That's a word.
That's a word. That's a word. That's a word. So we're gonna end it off with just some tips. Like I said, we are not advisors of any sort, but we're just giving you what maybe we wish we knew, and just giving you what hopefully will help you, you know, along your way. So I'm just gonna kind of go down the list to kind of end this, and then we'll pray to close. But and you all can chime in, you know, when you know if needed. But some of those tips for those that are graduating high school or even college, just I guess going down the line of things that I would practice, right? Or I would try to start doing. First thing, praying. That's first. That's first and foremost, praying, right? Second thing, after you finish praying about it or asking God to reveal certain things to you, thinking about what you're already good at, right? We touched on that. Thinking about what you're already good at. What are those things that I'm already doing that can translate into a career that I would like, right? And let me tell you something right now. You're not going to love your job every day. You're not going to love your business every day if you choose entrepreneurship. You're not going to like the trade that you choose every day if you choose to go to trade school. But it's very good to know, you know, what you're good at doing, because that oftentimes gives us the confidence, right? And helps raise our esteem, knowing that I'm good at something. Like, I can actually do this, right? And then the third thing would be doing your research. Like I don't care what y'all say, Katie, I'm telling you right now, even though you're in that Avid course, and that's amazing. Like I'm so glad that you're in that course. It would behoove you to do some research on your own. Like, just get online, hit up Google, and just start researching industries that are currently hiring right now, industries that will be hiring for the next 10 years, right? you may fall upon things that you didn't even know were a job, right? For instance, copywriting. I didn't even know what copywriting was, and I didn't know that was even a job that existed, I should say, right? Copywriters, they're basically responsible for producing engaging, clear text for different advertising channels. So when you go online and you're shopping on Fashion Nova, or you're shopping on, one of these websites, and you're seeing how the web design is laid out, but the words that they have in there, and how they have everything set up, excuse me, that is copyright, right? They want to make people purchase things. That's a part of marketing. And it pays pretty well, right? I didn't even know that was, a job, right? So doing your research, maybe even typing in things such as majors that have the highest unemployment, just to kind of see like, okay, I may love this, but what is, are people getting employed with this? Looking up trade schools, figuring out if you would rather be, in a trade school, getting that skill and trying that out, and then maybe taking that skill of, being someone who took irrigation classes or lawn care classes, and now you can start a lawn care business. Then taking that trade school certificate and starting a business, right? Or jumping into entrepreneurship, researching what is it like to be an entrepreneur in 2021, right? So doing the research, like I'm big on doing the work. Like I know you can talk people's ears off all day, but if you won't open up that laptop, go to the library and put some work in yourself, I can't get with you, because you got to know that divine power is strong, but you got to put that work in as well. God is looking to see if you are putting in the work. We do our best. He does the rest. He'll handle the rest. So also evaluating your passion and your purpose, right? I know we just spoke about that, but evaluating your passion and your purpose. Also, looking at the lifestyle that you would like to live, right? That's another tip. I forget what number we're on. Trying everything, being open, right? Because once you get into this life of adulting, young people, it's much harder to pull yourself from those things and those bills that have to get paid and just try things. I'm not saying it's impossible, because anybody can shift gears at any time, and for anyone out there who was thinking that they're stuck, no, sir. What God has for you is for you. So if you need to change courses and take a different direction, let me tell you something, that's possible. But it's harder to do that when you have a child. It's harder to do that when you're married, and you harder to do that when you have bills already, right? As a young person, try your hand at anything. And if you fail, guess what? Cool. You got a whole, other a whole bunch of other options that you can choose from, and start out on. At some point, narrow it down, right? At some point, narrow it down, right? I was one of those people. I was exposed to so many different things that it was a little bit hard for me to narrow down what I wanted to do, right? My mom had me in so many different things, and I praise God that she was able to expose me to so many extracurricular activities. But at the same time, I knew that at some point I needed to narrow things down. So make sure, that at some point you figure that out, and how to narrow down to maybe 2 or 3 different things. Let me tell you something as well. It doesn't matter what school you go to. Money is all the same color. I'm sorry. I just want you to know that when you get, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have never been in an interview and someone asked me what school I went to, right? They want to figure out if I can do the job, right? So I say that to say, yes, there are prestigious schools. And if you have your mindset on going to a specific school because you want that experience, that's awesome. Do it. But most times those schools are expensive. Those prestigious schools are expensive, right? Those are just the names that we know. But if you're going to that school just because you think you won't get a job if you don't go to that school, I'm telling you, like I said, I have never been turned down from an interview, or have never been asked that question of what school did you go to? Oh, you didn't go to Duke? Oh, you didn't go to Harvard? Or you didn't go to a Ivy League school? Sorry, right? And I say that to say that you can go to a community school, right? You can save money, because graduating, in the moment that you graduate, let me tell you something. In your senior year, you have to sign something called a promissory note, promising that you will pay back your student loans to these wherever you got to the lenders, right? To whoever loaned you the money, right? Whether that's Sally Mae, I forget how many others they have, but nonetheless, you sign a promissory note, promising that you will pay that back. So it's interesting that it's very hard for young people at age 18, 19 to walk into a bank and get a loan to start a small business. Or, it's very interesting that people won't encourage going to trade school because it costs less, right? But they will give people one option, right? Because mind you, I love all options. I went to college. I loved college. Great experience. Trade school is awesome. Trying to start a business is awesome. But what's being pushed is one option, college. But not understanding that the moment you graduate, you are now 60K, 30K, sometimes even more in debt, depending on how much help you receive from scholarships and things like that. So, like I said, that's just something to think about, thinking about, what school you go to. And don't let anyone make you feel as if community school is less than, trade school is less than, or going to a college that people may not ever even have heard of. Like I said, as of right now, money is green and it's accepted everywhere. So when you get paid, whether you went to Duke or you went to a small school in state, when you get paid, the money all looks the same to me, right? Continuing on, establishing a routine. It's something that I cannot stress enough, even from a high school perspective, right? Or a college perspective. You want to establish a routine, right? Getting into a rhythm, catching your vibe, being able to say, man, I had a good day. Why did you have a good day today? Because I accomplished the things that I set out to do, right? Or I was in the headspace that I wanted to be in based off of the routine that I set myself up for. So that's major. We talked about networking. I cannot stress that enough. You can start now. I don't care if you're in high school, middle school. You don't know if some of the people that you've met in high school or in college, especially in college, will end up being a business owner one day, will end up being one of your coworkers one day, right? Because they knew you, right? You were able to at least get an interview. You were able to at least get a sit-down dinner or some sort, right? So networking, keeping people's phone numbers, you know what I'm saying? Understanding that everybody can provide some type of value. And you may not know what value they're going to be able to provide for you in that moment, but in the future, they may be able to come through for you in what you're looking to do. If you're in high school, another tip, consulting with your academic advisor or guidance counselor. That's what they're there for. Asking those questions, right? I know some people that never saw their guidance counselor, that never even tried to get a meeting with them, right? And to be honest, if you don't have the parents who are able to speak to you about those things, at least you have someone in school, right? So because when you get to college, that responsibility is on you to perform. So start early, take some initiative, and go out and speak with those academic advisors and those guidance counselors. And then just being in your Bible. I think even though we may have had different views of what passion is, what purpose is, we all agree that purpose is non-negotiable. Someone in the chat, I believe it was further up, I could just find it really quickly. It says, but if we fail to walk in our purpose, we'll be repeating life until we decide to follow it, right? And Mark kind of touched on that. Like, we can go to the highest of highs, right? And if that doesn't align with our purpose, it doesn't have to be a specific job. It doesn't have to be a specific career. But if the position that we're in doesn't align with our purpose, like, God will attempt to redirect us and make sure that he gets us on that right track. So speaking about purpose, I just wanted to share some Bible verses, before we get out of here. A couple of them, and you'll be in, if you want to jot these down, just so that you have them or someone can take note of them in the chat. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding, and always acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. Psalm 32:8 says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. Psalms 37:23 through 24 says, the steps of a man are established. I love this verse. The steps of a man are established by the Lord when he delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be cast headlong, for the Lord upholds his hand. Last one here says, the heart of a man or woman plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps, right? So when we speak about establishing a plan, we speak about doing the research, doing the work, right? That's you planning, but the Lord is going to establish how you get to that goal, right? He's going to establish every step, every stage, and make sure that he carries you through that. So those are just some Bible scriptures to hold on to, as we go, excuse me, as you move forward, into life after graduation. So to close out, I just wanted to have everyone here kind of just give their advice. If you had one thing you could talk about, or one piece of advice you could give to someone who is getting ready to graduate and go out into college or trade school, whatever, or maybe they don't know what they're doing, what piece of advice would you give to that person? Mark Anthony, if you want to go first, by all means.
I got one piece, and it would be to read, become a reader. A lot of the information that I explained to you guys, I got from reading. I'm an avid reader now, and there's 4 books I want to recommend to you guys. The first one is this one right here by Napoleon Hill. It's called Think and Grow Rich. This book right here is just about how to build the business entrepreneurial mindset. So this one is for your mind on how to cultivate the thought process on wealth building and success. The second book right here is the one right here, Crushing It, is by Gary Vaynerchuk. And this one here is about how to leverage social media to be able to monetize off of it, how to use your Instagram, your Twitter, your Snapchat, your Facebook, and how to be able to use those social platforms to be able to grow. And that's what I did. I use our social platforms to be able to build a business that I'm doing right now. Another book talk about finances. This one right here, everyone knows this one right here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Great read. If you're in high school, this is a mandatory before you go to college. Mandatory. Get Rich Dad, Poor Dad and knock this one out. And this is just to teach you financial discipline and to be able to show you how to manage your money, because no one's going to manage your money for you better than you can manage your money for yourself. And then the last book that I read, which is my most recent pickup, is this one right here. My boy Michael Todd, Crazy Faith. Got to get the book. If you're not on this, it'll change your life. You know what I'm saying? And you need to balance. So I call this a four square. You want to make sure you take care of your mental, your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual. You want to cover all the areas. You don't want to be so spiritual books that you don't know how to manage your money, or such business books that you don't develop a good mindset, or a good mindset and you don't have any relationship with God. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure that you're balanced in all of it. And like I said, reading is key, man. That's what gets you to the top.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Alex, if you could just, give us your advice, for those who are getting ready to graduate.
I think I was thinking about it while Mark was talking. I think the best advice that I can give you is be yourself. Don't be afraid. Don't be so worried about fitting into the culture of wherever you're going that you're afraid of being yourself and exploring the ideas like, hey, maybe I may like to be an entrepreneur. Maybe I want to be someone who goes to school and I'm working a structured job where I'm maybe not my boss, but I have maybe a little bit more freedom. Like when I'm off the clock, I'm off the clock, right? So don't be so consumed with what everyone else thinks about you or what you should do. Kind of take that time and be intentional about knowing who you are, right? You don't want to be like for me, I think I decided really to go to grad school when I was around 24. You don't want to be 24 like, oh, well, okay, I really like this now. But you've already been in school this whole time, paying all these loans accruing, with you not really knowing, hey, is this really, really what I want to do? Or is this what my dad thinks I should do? Or my mom thinks I should do? Or my grandma says I'm good at this? But no, take your time. Like, spend time with yourself. Like, maybe even journal, right? Write down some things like, hey, maybe hey, journal, today I think I might like XYZ. Maybe when I have some time, I should do some research on it, right? So just piggybacking on what Mark was saying is really like educating yourself, reading, but also getting to know yourself, because that's a really big deal. As you continue to grow, and you're gonna learn more about yourself, right? At 18, you don't know yourself completely. At 25, even at 60 or 70, you may not really know every single thing about yourself, right? But if you're more intentional about figuring out who you are, a lot of those other things or mistakes that maybe myself or older adults or like we feel like we may have made, you might not make those same mistakes. Also, don't within that, be careful who you take advice from, because not everyone has your best interest at heart, and that might not be the most like comforting advice, but it's real. Like, I'm gonna tell you the real. So the people who are giving you advice, make sure when you're taking that advice, evaluate it for yourself and make sure that you feel like it's coming from a good place, right? That person is really pushing you to be the best version of yourself and helping you to realize, like, hey, not only can you use this career, whatever it is, to better yourself, but you can possibly even use that to give back to other people, right? You don't want to be in a career path that you're so self-consumed that you don't have any opportunities to reach back, right, and help younger kids. You want to be able to say, okay, well, I'm a speech pathologist. If anything, when I go to church, I can probably help little kids and kind of give them an idea, or even help inside my community, right? So I think those are my tips.
Awesome. And just to kind of pinpoint really quickly, she mentioned talking to certain people, right? Listen, once again, if you're talking to someone who's telling you not to start a business or not to go to trade school, and they don't have a business, or they're telling you what to do with your business, but they don't have a business, how would they know? So the point I'm making is, go and seek out someone who is doing what you're looking to, or what you're interested in, because then you can get a better understanding of, and you can better receive what that person is saying. Not to say that, your parents or whoever, your auntie or whatever, not to say not to receive that and take heed to what they're saying, but you really want to find someone who is doing what you're wanting to do, because they're going to be able to give you the best advice as to what you should do, right? Katie, I know that I guess what I would like to do with you is, if you could think about where you see yourself in 5 years. And the only reason I say that, I want to be able for us to go back on YouTube and be like, yo, Katie said that she was going to do this and she did it. Now, if you don't accomplish it, it's no sweat. It's no sweat. Things change, plans change, right? I started out studying criminal justice. Then I went to social work, graduated. I'm not a social worker anymore. Things change, right? So, but what do you see if you're like, hey, in 5 years, Katie will be boom?
Working at a salon, on my way to having my own business. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
Listen, I'm trying to get some type of discount, or you know what? Let me not even ask.
Let
for
me
a
know
discount.
when you're trying to open up a business
not do
in Tennessee. We can link up.
There you go. No, that's awesome. So Katie will be working in a salon, right? Learning, understanding, putting the work in, putting her dues in, and building up, gearing up to hopefully own her own salon one day, where she will be able to employ others, which is awesome and amazing. So I think we've had a great talk. I want to just let everybody know again that here we have a speech therapist, someone who went to college, went the traditional route. Here we have Mark Anthony, who went to traditional route through college, graduated, worked for a little while, but then went to trade school, learned to become a barber, got licensed, is now working in a barbershop where he's a manager of that barbershop, and also doing photography, and pretty much is building his business, building a brand, right? So I say that to say, in myself, I went the traditional route, went to college, and then, did social work, switched to being a recruiter, which I've been for the last 4 years. Now a recruiter specialist for Advent Health, which is, recruiting nurses, and helping employ people, right? So I say all that to say that we have a vast there's a lot of people on here who have come from different walks, right? Who have planned for themselves, and God has taken them on different journeys, right? So I just want to make sure that you're understanding that there is no one size fits all way to do things, right? There's nothing. But I really wanted to be able to start the conversation and let you know that everything is risky. Everything. Going to college is a risk, right? I know people don't want to hear that. Going to college is a risk. You could risk going to college, not finishing, still having to pay back loans. You could risk going to college, graduating, not working in the field that you're working in. You could risk going to trade school, getting a skill, and you're actually not good at that skill. You could risk starting a business and failing right out of high school, start a business and failing, right? But the goal is to give you the information and hopefully make sure that you are surrounding yourself around people who are open-minded and allowing you to make a purpose-driven risk, right? If we understand that our life has purpose and we understand that God has us in his hand, we understand that we can take risk. As long as we can calculate, okay, what some of the risks are, I promise you that if you take that risk and you fail, you'll feel much better having taken that risk, knowing that you did some research before, you calculated the risk, you factored in your purpose behind taking that risk. You feel a little bit better if you fail than if you jump into something just because someone said this is what you need to do, and then you end up failing, but you didn't put the work in to really figure out what you wanted to do with your life, right? So before we close, I do have an announcement about our next about the next Shaking It Up. The next Shaking It Up will be on November 20th. It is actually going to be in person. So right now you're seeing us through YouTube, you're seeing us online. I know we look handsome online and beautiful online, but if you come in person, oh my God, you will be impressed, okay? Listen, so we want you to come out November 20th, November 20th, and we're going to have a link that we can send out to let you know how to be a part of the giveaway that we're having, right? We're going to be giving away certain prizes. It's going to require you to submit a short video of your favorite Bible verse to help save others. So you can send your submission to Young Adult Ministry, Mount Calvary SDA, Tampa.org, right? You send your video in of your favorite verse, and you can be submitted to hopefully win one of the prizes that we have there, in person. Doors will open at 4 p.m. And we'll just be so excited, excited to see you once again, November 20th at 4 p.m. Mount Calvary SDA. So with that being said, if we could just have a word of prayer as we close out, bow our heads and close our eyes. Dear Lord, thank you for what you've been able to do here today, Lord. The discussion, the topic of I just graduated, now what? Lord, we know that you have our hand over our lives, Lord, but we also want to be able to put in the work, to do the research, to put in the time, to pour into our relationship with you so that you will reveal what it is that you have for us, Lord. Dear God, I just pray that you be with those young people who are seniors right now, be with those high schoolers who are thinking about what they want to do with your life next, Lord. It's their life, Lord. It's obviously you are the author, Lord, but it's their lives, Lord. And I hope that they will not live in fear of trying things, taking risks, trying to push the limits to see who they can become. So I just pray that you will give confidence to those high schoolers. I pray that you will surround those high schoolers with people who will speak into their lives, but people who have prayed about what to tell these young people prior to speaking to them. So be with those, Lord, who are getting ready to graduate, whether these are college students getting ready to graduate, high school students, or people who are just looking to shake it up and change their careers, Lord. So be with those people, Lord. I pray that the audience will just receive this and that they will share this. They will like it. They will subscribe. They will share this with someone who they believe this will help. Lord, be with us until we all meet in heaven, Lord, and continue just to push forward until we can see you again, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.